All right. All right. We are live on YouTube. I just need to mute myself so I don't hear myself talking back and forth to myself with a slight delay. So let's get that muted. All right, there we go. Awesome. So we are now officially live on YouTube. Welcome Angela and Abby as well to this party. So if you can hear me in the chat window, let me know where you're from and what you teach. That would be fantastic. And as I was mentioning a few seconds ago, we are now live on YouTube. So if you do want to go back and watch this webinar over and over again, you can certainly do so. It'll be on the YouTube channel sometime probably tomorrow. Probably not tonight, but probably sometime tomorrow. As we're going through this, if you do have questions or aha moments, things like that, please go ahead and put them into the chat window, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and kind of go from there. Angela from New Mexico, 9th grade in ELA, 100% online. All right, that's the second teacher I've met in this week that is 100% online. So awesome. And that does bring about, I'm sure, its own stresses and challenges, but thank you for doing that. All right. We've got Abby from Plattsburgh. Oh, great. Great to see you here, Abby from Plattsburgh. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Make sure you go to the right one. And let's pull down the chat. And let's pull down the participant list in case I need to see anything else. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. So for those of you that don't know me, and I know at least two of you do know me, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jon Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you want to give me a shout out a little bit later, that's great. If not, no worries. I'm also jonsmith@bookcreator.com. So feel free to reach out to me at either place. I'm always happy to answer questions and talk about Book Creator and ways that you can use it in your classrooms. I taught special ed for 12 years, mostly 5th and 6th grade. And then I taught as a tech integration specialist for 7 years, mostly at a high school. So after 19 years of teaching, I'm now a teacher success manager here at Book Creator. So lots of webinars, lots of trainings, sales support, basically anything that I can do to help teachers in schools and districts best utilize their licenses. That's really what I'm here for. I'm married. I've got 3 kids, 12, 8, and 5. I love golf and I love clean cars. So I'm actually a certified auto detailer on the side. So if you do have a dirty ride and you're anywhere near Ohio, which is where I'm from, I'll be more than happy to wash that ride for you. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I know a couple of you probably don't need this piece, but for those of you that are watching on YouTube or that are watching this fresh and haven't seen Book Creator very much, I do want to discuss a little bit about how to get signed in, right? If you've never been to Book Creator before. All right. So the very first thing I'm going to do is pull up our website. And I'm going to put the link to this in the chat window. And for those that are watching on YouTube, if you go to app.bookcreator.com, you're going to come to our sign-in page. And this is where you're going to create your account, whether that is a free account or whether you're getting the paid version, it doesn't matter. You're going to go here and you're going to sign in. The most important piece, though, is that if you see this big yellow screen, that is actually the student sign-in. So you want to make sure that you click this little blue button here that says switch to teacher, and that's going to allow you to sign in as a teacher, which is what we want. All right. So we want students to be students, teachers to be teachers. And you're going to sign in with one of these options, whether it's Google, Microsoft, email, or Clever. We do also have a link with ClassLink, so you can sign in through ClassLink if your school district has that turned on. It's totally up to you, but you're basically just going to sign in. Going to answer a few questions, and eventually after you do that, it's going to take you to your teacher dashboard. All right, and that teacher dashboard is going to look something like this. And I'm not going to go into this a huge amount, but there are some really amazing things here in the teacher dashboard. First of which is the Discover section. All right, and clearly right here at the top, we have some digital citizenship books, which we're going to be talking about here shortly. But we do have example books here by grade level. So if you are interested, you can click on these different grade level options and you can see these amazing books and resources here, which is great. Underneath that, we have books by our ambassadors. So again, books on a huge range of topics, everything from formative assessment to digital citizenship and more. You're going to want to take a look at these books because there are some amazing, amazing resources in here. And then underneath that, we do have examples by subject. And so this is one of my favorite places because, Abby, I'm sorry, not Abby, but Angela, who teaches ELA, I think book creator, right, lends itself really well to ELA, but sometimes everybody else doesn't think that they can use books in their classroom. And so this is a great place to go because it shows you how you can use book creator in every subject that you can possibly imagine. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that. The next tab I want to focus on is the certification tab. All right. And so when you click on certification and scroll past my really bad haircut, over here on the left-hand side, you will see 18 videos that will take you on a deep dive into all of Book Creator's features. So if there's anybody out there tonight that has never used Book Creator before, this session tonight is not focused on all of the getting started pieces, but the certification is a great way to do that instead, right? So go through, watch these 18 videos, pass the quiz at the very end, and then you become a Book Creator certified author. You get this awesome badge that you can download, put into your email signature, tweet out, whatever, and you also get a certificate of completion. And so that will just, some schools will give license renewal credit hours or tech PD hours or things like that if you complete this course. So something to think about. But again, if you are new, either one of the 4 of you that are watching me right now, or if you're on YouTube and you are new to Book Creator, this is a great place to go so that you can learn all of the ins and outs of Book Creator and how to use it in your classroom. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that. All right. So back to our actual library here today. So the first thing I wanted to just kind of start off with is that I didn't realize this either, but guess what? This week is Digital Citizenship Week, and Digital Citizenship Week was actually created 10 years ago by Common Sense Education, and I thought that was unbelievable, like an unbelievable thought, right? That it was 10 years ago that Digital Citizenship Week was created. And so along with lots of other people around the world, we are celebrating Digital Citizenship Week this week as well. All right. So first thing I'd like to do is in the chat window, maybe let me know what are some things that you've already tried when it comes to digital citizenship. And it doesn't have to be Book Creator or anything like that. Just tell me what you've done in your classrooms to teach or address digital citizenship. And I will say, Angela, 100% online, one of the things that I think is, I don't know, kind of popped into my head recently, especially in the last couple of years, is that, a lot of students didn't really understand digital citizenship, and neither did a lot of teachers. And we were kind of thrust into this world of online learning, and more so than normal because of the pandemic. And so we had a lot of kids who were just jumping online and not really knowing what to do, right? Because we hadn't really experienced all of that before. So I thought that was a fascinating thing that happened. I did not have a pandemic on my bingo card of things that would move tech forward or, make digital citizenship even more important. But it happened. All right. All right, Abby, student contracts. Okay. Video shorts. Yeah. A lot of videos are really good, right? For grabbing student attention. Having students sign their own contracts for digital citizenship. Very, very important. Angela, Common Sense. Yep. Has some great stuff. Nearpod, right, on creating slides, all right, for digital citizenship. So very good. Some great resources there. And so first off, I do want to mention, obviously, that Common Sense Education does have some great digital resources. So I just put a link there to Digital Citizenship Week for this year, which is, again, right now. But what I love about their website is that they do have some great activities, right, by grade level. So you can simply click on the different grade levels. that you teach. So I'll just click on elementary here, for example, and it brings up a K2 Digital Citizenship Week activity board, right, of different things that you can try with your students, including some of our wonderful book creator books right here. All right, so I definitely want you to take a look at this website. Again, I did put the link into the chat window, so I want you to take a look at that. There's also a wonderful family engagement toolkit, which I think is great because it's not just the kids. We all need to have a little bit better understanding of digital citizenship in today's world. And so really cool stuff here. All right, so I encourage you to take a look at that. All right, but book creator, all right, how can book creator help address this idea of digital citizenship in the classroom? And so we have some really awesome resources. Now I am going to share this link that I just put into the chat window. This is a link to our blog post that we have on Digital Citizenship Week for this year. I would encourage all of you to copy those links and put them into a different browser and just kind of set them off to the side or save them somewhere if you want. But that way you can have them after the chat is, or after the webinar is over. All right, but in this blog post, there are tons of ideas for Digital Citizenship Week. Many of the ideas that we're actually going to talk about tonight are right here in this link, and you will see links to all of the books that I'm going to talk about and all of the activities. All right, so definitely encourage you to take a look there. All right, so first off, we do have some books that we have worked with Common Sense Education to create. All right, and so I'm going to start with this very first book here, The Rings of Responsibility. And I'm not going to go through all of the pieces of all of the books because the workflow is very similar. But what I do want to talk about is how that workflow looks and ways that you can use those books with your students. All right, so in this book, Rings of Responsibility, if I click the arrow, there's a nice little welcome. All right, so you can see what the book is going to discuss and see if it fits your needs. And then underneath, there is some key vocabulary on this. What is a digital citizen, right? We may hear this term all the time, but we don't really know what it means. All right, and so I love this because their definition is someone who uses technology responsibly to learn, to create, and to participate, right? So it's not just, getting online, right? That makes it a good or bad digital citizen. It's someone who does it responsibly, all right? To learn something new, to create something, and to participate with others. So I think this is really cool. I love the graphics in here. I love the design. And as you go through this book, there are some different video clips that you might want to watch. And as we keep going through the book, there's an activity here where you're going to listen, and then you're also going to see more vocabulary. So again, I think this is a really great way to introduce your students. It's very colorful, very visual, very simple, right? Nothing too complicated here to get this information across. The other thing that I want to mention is that the way you use these books can be very different, all right? You could use them on your own and present this up in front of the class on a board and just go through the book together. You could have the students make a copy of these books, which I'll show you here in a second, so that they can do their own work independently. Or you can turn the copies on and make them for your kids. All right. So again, we're going to talk about that here in a second. But all of these books are here under this link. So if you need to get any of them, you just click on any of these books and it will give you the option when you click on it to copy that book right there into your own library. All right, so right here where it says remix this book, you're going to simply click on that. You're going to choose the library that you want that to go into. All right, so digital citizenship right there, and you're going to click copy. All right, and it's going to make an exact copy of that book right there inside of your library. All right, so that's how you can get all of these books. All right, so again, maybe I do this in front of the whole class and they all participate and listen and watch together, which is awesome. And then there becomes a section where you can start asking questions. All right, so what responsibilities do you have? All right, type or record your answers in the circles below. And so, here, what's kind of activity, or I'm sorry, what kind of responsibilities do I have? So as a student, I might go up here to the plus button, click record because I would rather record than have to type all of my answers in here. But I'm just going to click start recording, and I'm going to talk about my own responsibilities. Well, I have a responsibility as a husband and a father. I have the responsibility as an employee of Book Creator, and I have a responsibility as a car detailer, right, to detail people's cars. So I might hit stop recording, use recording, and then that audio button is added right to the page. And I can resize it, move it around if I want. Maybe I have multiple recordings, and so I want to put multiple record buttons in there or play buttons. I can certainly do that. But and this might be helpful if you have a class of students, right? Yourself, everybody tell me something, and we'll record it and we'll put it in there. All right, I Fatma from Egypt, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so maybe I will just put these record buttons in here. Or like I said, if you want to do this with each individual student, you can, and we can talk about that here in a minute. Again, what are your responsibilities for your community? What are your responsibilities for the world? All right. And so go ahead and answer those questions. And then there are some samples, right, of some possible answers that people might want to put in there. And then here's another activity. All right. Click and listen to this audio button. And then number one, I never share things online about my friends that they wouldn't want people to know. I treat others with respect in the person and online. And I only use apps and websites that are okay for my age, right? Or in this case, maybe even for your school, all right? So again, fill these in. You know, what kinds of things can you do for yourself, for your community, and for your world? And as we keep scrolling through the book, there's different colors, or I'm sorry, different activities that you can do. This one is the colors. So you're going to assign different colors to yourself, community, and world. And then you are going to continue, right? So if I make careful choices about the media I use, what color would that be? All right, is that a self thing? Is that a community thing, or is that a world thing? All right. And then as you keep going through this, there's loads and loads of activities. All right, so again, click and listen.
Choose one of the statements and write or record an explanation for which ring it belongs in and why.
Okay, so there's the activity. You're going to write your answers. And then down here, we do have a quiz right at the very end. So what are the 3 rings of responsibilities? And you're going to move the questions to actually reveal the answer. So I can remove this and see the answer underneath. So very interactive from this mode that I'm in right now, this edit mode. Then there's a family activity, which is really, really cool. So again, kids can take their Chromebooks home. They can ask their parents these questions, and they can put those record buttons right there or type them in. And then we also have some bonus activities here towards the end. And then some links to the actual activity itself on Common Sense's website, which is really cool. So again, I absolutely love these activities, and I think they're really, really fun. All right, that was our rings of responsibility. Then we also have Hearts, Online Friendships. And if I go ahead and click inside that book and look at the pages, you'll see that this one might be geared for some younger students. It's very, very colorful, very easy to read. But again, it is filled with activities and ideas and things that you can do with your students. And then the same thing for the last book that we did with Common Sense, and that is Pause and Think Online. So the next important piece, all right, is how do we get these books to our kids if we're not going to do this in a whole group kind of setting? All right, so first off, like I said, you're going to want to go to our website. And again, I'll put that in here in the chat window in case you missed it. But you're going to want to go to our website. And on our website, all of these books you can simply click on, and then you can add them to your own library. All right, and so when you do that and you remix those books, you now have a copy inside of your library. And so here you can see it says copy. All right, now there are 2 options for your students. Option number 1 is that when you have this book in your library, the students make the copy themselves. And that is my preferred method because that means less work on my part. All right, so here's how this works. I have my book here, and I will probably rename it, right? So instead of just the title that says Pause and Think Online, I might rename this and say copy this template in front of the name. All right, and now when my students join my library and they see that book, they'll see the words that say copy this template. They won't be able to go in here and edit. They won't be able to change anything in this book until they copy it and make their own. So they're going to click the book icon. They're going to click copy book, and they're going to choose the library that you want them to be in. So in this case, maybe it's our Digital Citizenship library. If you make a library for every student, maybe it's their own library. However you decide to make your libraries, they're going to click on it, and it's going to make a copy of that book that that student can now edit. Now, I always make them do one more step. All right, so here it is. Underneath, you can see now it says copy this template, and pause and think. So what I always have my students do is, in parentheses, put their name, and then say pause and think. They leave the title. And that way, as the teacher, I know whose book this is, and they know whose book or which book is theirs. The other thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes when you start getting lots of books inside of a library, it gets a little confusing for the teacher and for the student. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of not a hack, but a cool feature that a lot of people don't know exists. Right here at the top, there's a little drop down. And here is where I can see all of the students that have joined my library. And when my students have joined my library, all of their names will start popping up down here under this author category. Well, fun fact, if I click on a student's name, then the only books that I will see are the student books, that student's books. So if you do want to, grade Abby's work, I can click on Abby's name. It shows me only Abby's books, and I can look at them and go through it, and that's great. And then when I'm ready, I go click on Angela's books, I go click on Fatma's books, whatever, right? It's all set. So that's one option that I really like. And then if I want to see everybody's, I just click everybody, and I can see everybody's books. Now for students, if you don't want them to see a whole pile of books from other students, here at the top, there's a little gear. I'm going to click the gear and say students can read each other's books. I'm going to turn that off. And when I do that, then the only books that the students will see are the teacher's books and their own, not everybody else's. So in an activity like this, if you want every kid to answer their own questions in their own book, I would highly recommend turning off the library for all the other students so that the kids aren't getting confused. They only see their own books. Okay? All right. So that's option one. Make the kids do all of the work. All right. Option two is that I make the copies for my kids. Excuse me. Now, this one sounds nice, but there is a little bit of an asterisk next to this one. So if I have the student book here, this template, and I want to make a copy and put it inside my Digital Citizenship library for my students, as the teacher, then I have to go in here and manually change this to whatever student I want to do to work on this book. But because I made the copy of this book, the student can still not go in and edit it. So what I'm going to have to do is click the share button and collaborate. And when students join your library, there will be a little button right here that says change. I can click change and I can choose individual students. So I'd click change, I'd click Jacinka's name and only Jacinka, right? And so that way Jacinka can collaborate on this book with me, the teacher, but nobody else can. All right, so again, totally up to you how you do this. My preference, make the kids do the work, make them make the copy. And if you're standing there in class with them, or if you're over a Zoom, or if you're doing virtual, just making sure that they get to the right place is important. But I like having them do all of that back end work. Okay. All right. So those are the options. So students make their own copy of your books. You make the copy for them and turn on collaboration, or we all work together and we answer these questions online all together. All right. Now, I actually did think of another option that you might want, which is, I think, pretty easy. So maybe I'm looking at this book and I go to the pages view, and some of these we might want to do together, right, in class. We might want to watch a video together. We might want to talk about vocabulary together. We might want to do a lot of these things together until I get to something like a question, all right, that I want my students to answer on their own. So here is a third option, and this is definitely one that I like. Have every kid make their own book, just a regular book. Just make a new book, have them create a cover, and just be done with it. Leave it at that, all right? Have them make the cover. Go through these activities in class together, and then when you're ready, you can decide, all right? So maybe today I've got 10 minutes in class left, and I want them to answer this question: why is it important to take a break from our devices? So the next option is this: click the three dots, click copy to. All right, so I'm going to copy this page, just the page. I'm going to go to my Digital Citizenship library. I see all of my student books right here. I click on the dot at the top. It highlights or check marks all of the students. And then when I hit copy, guess what happens? It takes that one page and it dumps it into everybody's book. And so that way, the students are the owners of the book, right? They made the book. Now all I'm doing is copying this page into their book. So you can do this 1 or 2 pages at a time if you want. Just hit select, choose a couple of pages, and click copy to, or you can do it 1 page at a time. But this is a way that you can dump pages into student books whenever you see fit. So instead of just giving everybody all of the questions at once, maybe you release them sporadically. All right, so something else to think about. So there's actually 4 methods. All right, you copy it for them, turn on collaboration, they copy it, we work together, or they create their own independent book, and then you just dump pages in there when you see fit. All right, so really cool, easy options to play with there. Okay, another resource that I wanted to share with everybody here today, and this is in the teacher dashboard, but I will copy the link anyway and put it right here into the chat window. This is a wonderful book that was created by Dr. Monica Burns, good friend of ours here at Book Creator. She speaks all over the world about many, many different technology topics, but she created this wonderful digital citizenship activity book with us, right? And so this was awesome. And in this book, there are tons of ideas for using Book Creator for digital citizenship, and not even just using Book Creator, but just wonderful digital citizenship activities, all right, that you can use. And so she's got a nice little welcome here and some wonderful information, along with some links that take you out to other places. But this is really awesome because it just talks about different pieces of digital citizenship, including being well-balanced digital footprint, news and media literacy. And as you go through this book, there are different pieces and things that you can have your students do. So this book specifically, I might want to share in front of a whole group of students and then say, all right, let's talk about, being balanced and our own well-being, right? Media and well-being today. And so I might say to my kids, all right, listen, let's review the types of media that we consume over the course of a day. And I've actually done this with my kids, and I think this is a very eye-opening activity. I know it's an eye-opening activity for me because on our phones, right, we have this wonderful tool that allows us to see our usage across different apps, across different sites, across different things like that. And so I love this because in this type of activity, the students, for a period of time, are documenting their media use. And I think if you were to ask kids, do they spend a lot of time on media? I think their answer would probably be like, not really. But when they go back into their phones or they go into their iPads or their devices and they start looking at the amount of time that they use their media, I think they would be really, really shocked. All right. And so again, I've done this with a group of students. I worked with a teacher who did this with her students. And you know what happened after logging this for a week? The next week when they came into class, the kids were very adamant that they were going to lower that number because they were shocked. They were shocked, right? That they spent 60 minutes a day on Netflix, 80 minutes on YouTube, 30 minutes on Facebook, right? This was unheard of for the kids. And they just didn't really believe it until they saw it. So I love this activity. Staying safe online, right? Being able to talk about privacy and security and what does that actually look like. Our own company, right? We just took a course on being safe online and phishing attacks and different things like that and how to stay safe. So having these conversations with your students and doing activities that help guide them are really, really important. Who are we online? Am I thoughtful? Am I careful? Am I kind? Am I not kind? All of this wonderful stuff. I love this one here too, writing a fictional story, right, to illustrate consequences using a character's decisions. The high school that I used to teach at, they used to have a fashion show of what not to wear. All right. And so I think this would be a very easy thing that you could turn into a book too. How to behave online, how not to behave online. And let's put some scenarios out there so the kids can see it. All right. Relationships and communication. Again, wonderful questions and activities that your students can go through, standing up to, cyberbullying and drama and hate speech, fake news and media literacy. This is very important stuff. And in designing a house, right? Keeping your digital house clean, right? How do you do that? So again, I think this is just a really powerful book with lots of scenarios and lots of questions and things to get kids thinking. All right. I love the trap test too, as well, right? To teach my kids about the reliability of websites. How do you know the information that you're getting is valid? All right. Do the trap test. And there's a video in here in the book that kind of walks you through exactly what that means. And then at the very end of this book, there's a quiz, right? So your kids can click on the link here, and then they can take this Digital Citizenship 101 quiz right here in Book Creator and kind of answer the questions. All right. And so like it says at the end of this book, we can't wait for you to do this, and we can't wait to see the amazing stuff that you and your students create on this topic. All right, now across the top, once my little toolbar goes away, there we go. Whoops, I need to move my toolbar out of here so that I can concentrate on what we're doing. We do have some extra resources. Again, these books are all linked into the blog post that I shared earlier, but this is a Digital Citizenship Week book that we did with a school district, Hillsborough County. They actually did an entire competition. So this book isn't necessarily relevant maybe for your specific situation, but I did want to share this book because it shows you what we did with this school district. And you can remix this book if you want and kind of tweak it and fit it to fit your own school district needs. We did take a few more of the common sense education activities and put them into a book. So this one is Saying Goodbye to Technology. So you can copy that book. And again, these books are just filled with activities, objectives, teacher notes, videos, all kinds of amazing things that you can do with your kids in the classroom. Here is another one, the words that we choose. So again, I'm just putting these in here if you want them. They are all attached to the blog post. Who we are on social media versus who we are in real person, right? In real life, maybe. This is Digital Drama Unplugged. So these are for older students. And then we also have another blog post, all right, here to go along with Monica's book. So loads of information. Here is the blog post once again with all of that information in one neat and tidy place. But that is our presentation here tonight on digital citizenship in the classroom and how you can possibly use a book creator to do that. So are there any questions or thoughts, aha moments, things that excite you about what we talked about here tonight? So I'll keep an eye on the chat window here to see if anybody has any questions. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Let me flip over here to YouTube and see if anybody's on YouTube watching us. I do see one person, but I don't see any questions just yet. But anyway, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. We really do appreciate it. And have a great Digital Citizenship Week. Have a great Digital Citizenship year, right? We want to keep this information going on, not just this week, but throughout the rest of our year as well. And have a great night. Be safe out there and happy bookmaking, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, just saying thank you.